Thank you very much, Freak, and welcome to World's Cooldown. All of the players, both on Fnatic and Invictus Gaming, they're taking a much-deserved opportunity to huddle around the trophy they'll be fighting for in just a week's time, but also take some photos, kind of bask in the glory of the moment. We followed quarterfinals, where we saw both tournament favorites get knocked out in 5-game series, where heads immediately turned to both IG and Fnatic. These two teams saying, all right, well, if the tournament favorites are out, those are the two we're looking at as perhaps the ones to make a run. IG gets the 3-0 yesterday. Fnatic, not to be outdone, mounts a similarly dominant 3-0 against Cloud9 here tonight.
Made a huge statement, I feel like, with the way they were able to play the draft phase as well as execute within the game as a team. All the solo lane bans they absorbed, the fact that they were able to win any Victor matchup top lane, they really did show a lot of the same strengths that IG showed as far as draft flexibility and solo lane strength, which makes me super excited for what is now a group stage rematch in the finals.
Yeah, it's like the versatility, the early game, the late game. It felt like Invictus Gaming threw down the gauntlet. They have the Jace pick that comes out now. Fnatic, they grabbed their own Jace pick, and now suddenly it's not just a trump card for IG.
Right.
And you have both late game victories, early game victories, all of the flex picks. Like, the evolution that both of these teams have made over their crash course for history is just the cherry on top.
It's a world first to have two teams from the same group meet in the finals of of the entire tournament. And then to your point, Frost, I'm extraordinarily excited to watch the solo lanes go up against each other when it comes to IG and Fnatic because of the way that the Fnatic mid laner played today in Caps, right? We had some questions around a shaky performance for him, within the early stages of the tournament, even calling out Perks as perhaps the better performing EU mid laner up until these semifinals. And Caps really finally showed us why he is deserving of a spot on that top 20 and all of the pre-tournament hype.
And I think there's kind of two factors here. The first time that Caps and Rookie faced, Rookie did get the red side counter pick a lot of the time. Caps had to go in blind, and so of course he's naturally going to be at a disadvantage. And then the other side of that is blue side almost seems so much stronger as people are identifying, okay, there are just overtuned champions right now. It's about how many you can stack on your team, how confident you are to blind pick them. And so things like the Aatrox, like the LeBlanc, like the Victor are suddenly really changing the dynamics. And it feels like Caps is finally ready to say, okay, you are no longer just going to grab the safe counter pick, which is what Jensen did in this last game. He's like, I need Lissandra because that way I'll be safe. You can't do that. You can't play safe. You must be confident. I don't think we're going to see like another swing grab from Caps when he sees Rookie. It should be assassin versus assassin. Who's going to have more confidence on the day?
Yeah, and I think both these teams have learned a lot since the last time they played each other, and they kind of showed what they learned in these two semifinal stomps.
Without doubt.
I mean, the last time I can remember double 3-0 in semifinals was 2015. This is much different in the fact that it's the LPL team and the EULCS team doing the stomping.
Right.
So a much different world we live in, but a very fast semifinal.
Yeah, taking a look at the comparison between the two teams that will meet in the finals here. I mean, just impressive stats really across the board.
Yeah, look at that gold at 20. There's definitely, as you can see, better Drake control from Invictus Gaming. Cloud9 was prioritizing those Drakes early on in these games. Often, I almost feel like in a bit of a sense of desperation as Fnatic was winning the side lanes and getting a lot of turret pressure. So in that way, you could say that's like, Fnatic didn't completely dominate, but they really did.
A small preview of the finals matchup, but let's kind of re-hit this third game and just put a capper on this series real fast. You already mentioned it. 3 Lissandra games in a row for Jensen. I'll be the first to say I'm disappointed just that we didn't see a different look. Not that Lissandra isn't a good pick and isn't a viable champion, but I wanted to see something different in your potential last game of the tournament.
And again, you can completely understand the mentality. There's so many flex picks going on right now. She can control, I think was the word that Papa Smithy used on the desk. I 100% agree with it. She can control a lot of these really big snowballing lanes. Jensen was trying to do his duty just to lock down Caps, keep him there. But ultimately, I don't think you're the only one who feels bad. I think that if you're a player, you probably feel bad being like, I didn't get to play the LeBlanc. I didn't get to try to do the carry performance. I was just on utility duty. And that's not to say that, flame Jensen or anything like that. That could have just been a Cloud9 decision of, okay, this is your responsibility for this matchup. And unfortunately, they were just outclassed pretty much every single spot on the map.
Yeah, if I had to speculate, they'd want the Lissandra so they can dictate the engage because they got here by being proactive and dictating engage, and Nocturne was taken away from them, so they would need the Lissandra. And there were opportunities, I feel like, for Cloud9 to capitalize, but in any way that Fnatic could beat Cloud9, I feel like they kind of did beat Cloud9. In game 1, you saw them with the mid lane kills and the solo kills from Caps, and then you saw Bwipo getting 1v1s top lane, and even in Game 3, you saw a 2v2 solo kill. Like, every single member of Fnatic had that outplay moment on their counterpart on C9.
Almost every skirmish in this entire series went Fnatic's way, right? They either responded just that millisecond faster, they brought one more person to the fight, they just mechanically performed better in the fight. Any of those factors could have been the lever to pull, but it was always pulled in favor of Fnatic.
The thing that really just disappointed me about Cloud9 was their draft. Jet, you called it on the desk, pointing out that Akali, Aatrox, and then LeBlanc were the bans from either red side or blue side, which is so surprising to me given the depth of champion pools that we saw from Cloud9 throughout this tournament. The fact that you
no Singe, no Hecarim. Like, where are all these pocket picks?
Yeah, exactly. Where is the bait? It was like we got the triple flex of the Victor, and that was cool, but we expected so much more from them in just the draft phase to set them up before, they had an opportunity to lose on a macro sense, to lose on a micro sense.
But I think that's also where we have to extend an incredible amount of credit to Fnatic, because if we talk about C9 being one of the most difficult teams to draft against, just by virtue of having those pocket picks always at their disposal, it means that Fnatic had to be ultra confident in whatever they were bringing to the table in the face of Victor flex to the bot lane. Who's going to necessarily predict that?
Yeah, and also, like, Caps pulled out a Zir this tournament. That's just so counter to where it feels like the meta has
Average
been going.
game time, 27 minutes. What's the perfect champion for that? Azir.
I'll take the 28-minute quadra kill Azir, actually.
Right, why not?
And to be fair, it was just a great read of knowing that Lissandra was going to be such a pivotal pick. We've seen Azir go into the Lissandra, and it's just a really hard matchup to play. So again, no flame to Jinsen. Like, that's really tough. I would call it a soft counter or a soft answer. He's able to match the push. He can't roam as well, but it's hard just to leave that lane as Lissandra. And then if you don't get to start those team fights in the side lanes, suddenly you lose so much priority in that pick.
Time to hear from some of the winners. For more on Fnatic's impressive victory, let's turn it over to Shox and the Fnatic mid laner.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here with Caps, who absolutely carried today. I'm just going to put it that way. What is going through your head right now? The fact that you have made it to the World Championship final.
So I feel kind of weird because in a way I should be really hyped that it's the first final in so long since season 1, but I don't really feel that hyped because there's still one more match to go, and if we lose now, it's probably the worst feeling we could even have. So I'm just trying to stay a bit relaxed, gonna play some more games, prepare for next week, and then win that, and then I can get hyped.
Yeah, okay. Well, I understand that. You don't want to get too overhyped. Can I ask you about how you think you did performance-wise in the match? I know you guys weren't very happy with how you played in your quarterfinal. What was it like today?
So I think we improved a lot since the quarterfinals. Our early game was a lot better today than last time, but we still had some problems. I feel like C9 were really good at, obviously I don't want to go into specifics, but C9 were really good at punishing something that other teams don't punish. So usually we will get away with stuff that we didn't get away with against C9, and therefore I think the early game should probably, the early parts of the early game will be harder against IG because they have maybe stronger individual players, but there's a lot of parts that C9 did really well at playing together that IG don't. So I'm excited for next week.
Seems like you're pretty positive about the matchup. And tell me about that rematch versus Rookie. He said he wanted to face you again. How do you feel about it?
So I think Rookie is probably, at least in my opinion, he's probably the best performing player at the tournament right now. But unfortunately for him, there's still next week. And I think after the best of 5 next week, he probably won't even be top 20. So.
There we go. I do want to invite a special guest on, sir. Caps' dad, welcome. There we go.
Wow.
So your son is having a bit of trouble realizing that he wants to stay calm. What can you say about the fact that he's made it to the final?
So wow, it's EU made to the finals, and it's first time ever.
Yeah.
I don't have all the histories, but I know that this is amazing.
Yeah.
And he played actually so damn well, so I could kick the ball. So yeah, you're so good.
So what's your prediction for the final?
I'm so nervous, especially the 5 days that have to go now. I don't know where to go. I have to climb mountains or something like that. Yeah. And then hopefully I will have to see something like the previous games, some hard things, and then in the top of the edge there will be a little ration and a present. But we don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Gotta stay calm. So finally, Caps, it's lovely that your father is here and your whole family following you. Can you just tell us a couple of words about the whole experience, your family being here, them supporting you for a couple of years now as a pro player and having achieved so much?
So it's really nice being at Worlds. You get to experience a lot of different teams, and especially this Worlds where everyone is beating everyone. It's a really crazy feeling, and to have no Koreans in the final is really crazy in itself, and we're gonna take it.
Fantastic. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us as well. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shox. Proud father, rightfully so, as again, Caps in particular stepped up in this series to make it a swift 3-0. I love the way he's talking about that matchup against Rookie, giving him the respect as the best performing player in the tournament, but saying we've still got 1 week left to go to change that whole narrative.
It's the confidence, and Cap sounds really confident, and that's what you want. This meta is all about the micro outplays. It's about playing on that moment, playing in that spotlight, and it sounds like Caps has the confidence to do it.
Yeah, and looking at their run, first place in the group stage, 6-1, 3-1 quarters, 3-0 semis. They're 12-2 at the World Championship.
It's an impressive
they have been dominant when you look back at it.
Without a doubt. Fnatic smashed their way to the finals, and a couple of players showed the additional flair necessary to earn themselves MasterCard Players of the Game. For the 3-game series, it was Caps twice, and then Bwipo picking it up for that 3rd game.
Solo lanes. You saw all the bans towards it. It didn't even help at all, it felt like, with the way Caps and Bwipo were playing in those solo lanes. Got to shout out Broxa as well, because he had total control of the jungle, and any solo laner will tell you how much jungle pressure and jungle difference matters. So Broxa, the honorable mention, even though he didn't get a nod for an individual game.
And I will say this, over the course of those games, when we were discussing, who's going to be player of the game, it's always just like, this feels like a Fnatic win. Like, everyone is doing their part. And then it was at kind of like the very end that like Caps would pop off and get like a quadra. Like, give it to Caps, give it to Caps. But Fnatic right now, just across the board, I know special shout out to Broxa, but also Reckless and Hilly have just been so consistent.
Super solid.
Solo lanes in both series got him for all 3 games, the POGs. And so again, just really furthering the idea that the finals matchup could hinge on the performance of just a few individuals. Well, when you're looking for a spot at the World Final, pros might aim to hard carry or to out-macro their opponent. Then there are the players who spend everything just to defend a turret to say, I'm helping, presented by State Farm. In his series today versus Cloud9, Fnatic's Hylissang stalls out mid perfectly to guarantee Fnatic first turret.
Look how low this wave is. This could die this very wave right here unless C9 rush it down faster. They are staying, but Brox has cleared the wave away. And hard CC for Hylissang. He might lose his life, but he saves the turret. It gives first turret gold to Reckless.
And I think a hero moment is that Hilly was still supporting his ADC across
from the mid
map.
lane. Yeah, that's 600 gold going directly into Reckless' pocket there early in the game. And so as a Sivir who's trying to scale to late, that feels good.
Yeah, it helps so much. And Reckless didn't get any accolades this game, other than the fact that he's in the final, right? Even going back to the EDG series, he just doesn't die in the first 15 minutes of the game, but he's not falling behind in CS and he's not losing his turret. When you're playing a solo lane focused game, that's exactly what you need in the bottom lane.
Yeah, knows his role on the team in this tournament and this meta. With today's victory, though, we've locked in our teams competing for the Summoners Cup. Fnatic complimented Invictus Gaming's 3-0 with one of their own as both teams try to maintain momentum as they clash in Incheon.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to Group D. G-Rex and 100 Thieves, I'm sorry. You're in the group with Titans, Fnatic and Invictus Gaming.
Exactly, it wasn't G-Rex and 100 Thieves. They were actually just in the group with the 2 world finalists.
They would have had a shot, man, anywhere else.
Any other group.
But let's talk about these 2 teams because, interestingly enough, there is history here.
Oh my God, yeah.
Between both these teams, the regions, everything. Fnatic, obviously, the winners of Season 1, and now they get another shot at the finals.
Yeah, this feels so much like a throwback to earlier days of League of Legends. And I'm someone who's been casting since 2012, and I actually remember Reckless's first tournament. It was IPL 5 because he wasn't able to play on Fnatic. He was too young, but IPL 5 he was allowed to play in.
Right.
And that was a tournament that had the defended world champions, TPA, had a Korea team, Azubu Blaze, and Reckless and Fnatic, with Reckless and Soaz, actually made it all the way to the finals, only to be beaten by the Chinese team, Team WE. And then after that, Korea won forever. But that is kind of on the back burner this year. So to have these 2 teams emerge, IG always kind of been there in the LPL, never quite at the top, and both these teams now having that opportunity this late into League of Legends life, like this mature sport where I really feel like it was totally new back then, is such an accomplishment for both of these teams, and I can't wait to see who wins.
So a rematch for the regions when it comes to a finals in that sense, but also a rematch for these teams in particular, just as we mentioned, both coming from Group D. Fnatic was the 1 seed coming out of that group, and so you would expect at least some amount of confidence knowing that they bested IG when it came to the group stage.
But it was just such a different animal back then. I don't want to take anything away from Fnatic. You know, maybe this is the IG bias lens coming through, but ultimately we were playing things like Sion and Kai'Sa. You know, it was a very different look from IG. The meta has progressed, the tournament has progressed, and now it feels like both of these teams have assembled the versatility, the micro, the macro, and we're going to see them in their best form really clash for what was previously a best of 3 that was basically just a highlights montage. You just take any of the clips of those crazy plays from both sides.
Right, these teams played before the LeBlanc went 8-0 in knockout stage, before the Scions disappeared from the top lane, and before the Victors started showing up in every lane on the map. And so, again, while they have played and there is some history that we can point to even from this tournament, I don't expect this next best of 5 to play out anything like it.
Yeah, and I have no sources on this, but I am pretty sure they were scrimming each other this week. Like the first pick LeBlanc priority for both teams, the early Jace priority as a pick against Aatrox. I feel like they kind of knew in their heads, they're like, okay, IG is the best team, we're the best team, let's scrim to make sure we get there, and then in the next week, then we'll try and prepare against them. And I completely agree with Frost Curran. It's a whole new animal.
Right, so then do your best for me in imagining a week from now how IG and Fnatic match up against each other. Because as you mentioned today, it felt like Fnatic just kind of across the board outclassed C9. But the same thing can be said about IG against G2, and so where do you expect IG to over-index as compared to Fnatic, and for Fnatic to do the same?
I'll give you kind of the two strengths of both squads. Fnatic are the better team fighters than Invictus Gaming. IG have never been good team fighters. They've always been good skirmishers. They are getting better at it, but comparatively to a lot of the team fighting that we see in the LPL, RNG always had them there, which is why RNG always had IG's number. They were always able to beat them because they'd stall it out late game and then they'd just out-team fight them. But I do believe that Invictus Gaming solo laners in the Shy and Rookie are better than Bwipo and Caps. I think it will be very matchup dependent, so Fnatic can gain ground there. But we saw Rookie, he just perfect CS. He knows exactly when to roam. He knows how to kill. He's the best performing member of the tournament. And maybe Caps and Bwipo can shut me up here. But ultimately, early game, I have to give it to IG and the stronger solo laners. But late game, I think if Fnatic could actually have a win condition there that stall it out, have Reckless on Sivir, and just say, we'll see you in the 5v5. We know this has been your Achilles heel all year long.
I think Fnatic has an edge in team play and communication. But if IG is to win the series, it's because the Shy and Rookie are amazing.
It's just too good.
Right? And that's going to be what I'm specifically watching in that series.
Well, to get another pro's insight on Fnatic's climb, Shox is standing by with Fnatic's top laner.
Thank you very much, guys. We both can't contain our joy and our laughter. How do you feel about this, Mr. Bwipo? Your first year as a professional player, by the way.
I mean, I was in LCL, right? So, I mean, first year on the big stage, I guess. Now that I think about it, I actually realized that we were just kind of better across the board. Kind of what was expected. But still, you don't tell yourself that before you play. Yeah, it went a lot easier than expected. We thought they had more prepared. We were better prepared. I feel like their counter pick in the Victor was very poor. He wasn't very good at playing it either. So, I mean, to me, the reason I'm kind of disappointed because there was a lot of hype around, oh, we're both rookies and we're both good, and then he kind of picks a really shitty matchup where I can just smash him. So, I did.
Oh. Is this one of those that you're going to regret later, or?
No, I mean, like, this time around, I'm not going to say I'm going to smash the next guy. It's just more like, that's kind of what happened, no?
Yeah.
I think I just literally said what happened. Okay. He picked a shitty champion into a good champion, and I won.
So, let's then talk about the Shy, because I interviewed him yesterday. Of course, you played versus him already, and he said, well, yes, there's nobody who can beat me. How are you looking forward to that rematch in general?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think that, you know, like yesterday they banned Victor every game, and I think I got to show why people ban Victor every game. So I don't expect I'll get to cheat the lane matchup with the champion. I think Jace is a champion we both are playing, so, you know, I didn't look quite as dominant as he did. I should have, you know, I was holding back, but like holding back in the sense of like a lot of high plays in mind, but I'm like, all right, let's just slow down, play the game, like, you know, just win. Nerves, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, kind of surreal.
Yeah.
I just I think we beat IG before. I think we can do it again. So like just the thought of you're going into World Finals with the idea that it's winnable, right? And you have to imagine that. Is that really, is that really a thing right now? Like, 2018?
It's surreal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's surreal.
Like, every single World Finals where it was an Asian team against a Western team, which is none. I mean, just think about it. Most of the time, it was like a Korean team, and everyone's like, they can't lose, they can't lose. But now it's actually, it's a match. There's going to be some League of Legends to be played, and I'm going to love it. So I look forward to playing against the Shy. He said nobody can beat him, so, maybe I can shut him up. Yeah. Maybe I don't, maybe I get shit on,
You even have me for a loss of words with how much and how fast you're talking, but you're very excited.
I mean, I'm excited, but it's also in the sense that I don't know. It's hard to put in the words because I feel like everybody worked really hard for this, and I said in an interview earlier is that, like, at the end of the day, like Reckless, Soaz, especially even Hilly, I've worked for years for this, and then it's here now. Yeah. This is their opportunity, my opportunity. And I hope I can just keep up the performance to get them there, right? Because I feel like today I had a pretty good game.
Okay. One shot, one opportunity. Finally, just for the fans out there, they love your face cams. Do you want to do just like one or two Bwipo emotes? I'll do it with you. Which one do you want to do?
I don't know which ones there are.
That one. Yeah, I've heard. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bwipo. Congratulations. Very fun interview. He's excited, guys. Why wouldn't you be? Going to the finals. Back over to you guys.
I'd be worried if he wasn't happy about going to the finals in his rookie year here. I mean, that is what's so spectacular about this player to me is, yes, he played in the spring finals, but instead coming into MSI, if you weren't from the European region, you didn't know Bwipo's name. Yeah. And here he's picking up a MasterCard player of the game in the semifinals to help push his team to a finals bout.
And there was a lot of conversation about where EU analysts were leaning that Soaz is the better top laner to put in, that Soaz was the one that we expected to show up when it came crunch time. But I feel like the meta has really shifted, that Bwipo has like the pocket picks, he's got the Victor, he was more of kind of like the mage player. And we'll see if maybe like push comes to shove that Soaz retakes the stage with kind of that veteranship, because he looked good on those Sion games, but as Sion has disappeared, it feels like Bwipo is now, standing up in that spotlight, and it's not just like Caps anymore. It's now this secondary, very young star.
Yeah, I feel it's funny that there's the parallel between IG and Fnatic with the super experienced top laner and then the younger guy who seems to be more prone to carry champions. Like, Duke is a former world champion and actually played a lot of summer split games with IG, much like Soaz did, but the way the tournament has shifted has put Bwipo and the Shy in the spotlight.
And what I really loved is Bwipo's comment about how, it's been a long time coming, that you have guys like Reckless that they've worked their entire careers for this moment. When you look across at Invictus Gaming, yeah, there's that experience in terms of Rookie and Duke, and, for Rookie to lift a championship in Korea would mean that it was worth it. Choosing the LPL, my career was worth it here. But then you look at Jackie Love, at Baolan, at the Shy, at Ning. These guys have never competed outside of China. This is also basically their rookie years. They've only been around for about 3 splits total. So in terms of like the experience disparity, Fnatic have so much experience behind them.
Yeah, you contrast that to just previous World Finals when you've got, defending champions, guys who've been in the leagues for, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, all taking up the stage. This is going to be a relatively inexperienced World Final. And again, just how the adrenaline that you could see there pumping through Bwipo's veins, that turns into anxiety and nerves and pressure, right? How are they going to deal with all of that on the biggest stage they've ever played in their entire lives?
And so often we don't get to really talk about, like, we'll mention the mental game, but you never really see it in League of Legends, because it's not like, the players, they're so small on the bottom of your screen, and sometimes you'll see that, the famous Bwipo reactionary pose or something like that. But for Rookie to not buy items in a best of 5 in Game 5, for Jackie Love to be flashing forward and be kind of like gobbled up and eaten, like you can see, for once it feels like in this tournament especially, that pressure start to crack players. And now on the World's Finals, with so much inexperience, you can define your legacy day one in that final.
Yeah, it's going to be so amazing. Like, there's a transition from playing at Worlds to playing at World Final as well, just because the ceremony beforehand, seeing whatever it is that is planned and seeing that many people there to watch, like, it's a whole nother animal. And especially with these guys that haven't been there before, like, you could say Saul has been a world championship because he played in season 1. Yeah, that's not a 50,000 seat stadium, right? Nope. So I once again,
whole nother animal.
Can we do it tomorrow? Can we just move up the
Just let's
schedule?
go. Let's
We
go.
have
Move it up.
time.
Let's
We can
keep
do
the
it
energy
now.
rolling. Throughout the weekend, you cheered on your favorite teams and called out the plays that made you proud. So we pulled a couple worthy of being called an Acer Predator big play. First up, Fuzzy Butterbean, fantastic name, tried to give C9 a heads up. Warning, caps lock is on.
Do you go one shot? I think win.
I'm dead. One shot. I got one shot.
I'm dead as well.
I'm going on the Thunder.
Two dead.
I got shot.
I have the
Win. He killed everyone. Holy shit, Caps. Is that a penta?
Oh my
Did you get the kill?
god.
Oh,
I got one.
Oh
Sorry.
my Cap!
I think what's so impressive there is that we were like, oh, who do you give it to? You can give it to Broxy, you can give it to Bwipo, you can give it to Caps,
yeah.
and then we saw that play like,
Quadra
Caps.
I like how the team's just like, oh, he killed everyone. Let's go. Like, that's just the reaction.
Well, because he does. He comes out of nowhere. That
Yeah.
fight looked like it was going C9's way until the three-man wall comes out and he just kind of 1v4s. Next up, the lonely dog guy. You're not lonely if you got a dog, my friend. Wrote a poem about the IG top laner. My Aatrox is sick. My Jace makes them die. You guessed it right. It's IG's the Shy.
Wonder trying to make something happen, but G2 looked like they just want to disengage this one now. They already got the pick onto the enemy jungler. So many people! That's the Aatrox damage, and the Shy makes it happen!
What? 好可以，你们可以，go go 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 go，砍掉一枪，可以，他怎么这么快？砍掉一枪，别，走吧，我没有拦，他没大。
Yeah, and there was a like an LPL mic check of that moment, and my memory of the rough translation of it was basically Baolan saying back, Ning saying back, they can get Baron if we die, and then like a second later, a wow, and kill them because they saw Shy get a triple Q2 and a quadra Q3 and realized that they could win the fight.
Yeah, he's just silently ignoring his team.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I know where this is going, and it's not even worth my time to tell you. It's fantastic. Well, as the remaining two teams make their way to the finals, we want you to send your favorite moments of Worlds to @LOL Esports with the hashtag Worlds2018 so we can chart through all the crazy moments of the tournament, and there were quite a few. We return next week on November 3rd in Incheon with EU's Fnatic versus the LPL's Invictus Gaming. The broadcast starts with Worlds Countdown an hour before opening ceremony at 11:30 Pacific or 7:30 a.m. Central European Time. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. So now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in Incheon for the World Championship Finals.
For the last spot in the finals, the biggest NA versus EU match probably of all time.
The results of today's best of 5 could cause a whole continent to cheer or cry out in despair.
Here we go! Flashing, going for the chain as well, just gonna flash, but still get rooted! Q's gonna land! And first blood! A couple more autos come through, but watch out! The turret is attacking! And Sven Scarrett kills himself in the top lane! And Fnatic is not done! Jumping forward is Caps! He's got the chain as well! What a play!
Nice, guys.
Nice, good shot.
Fnatic handily took game 1. Will it be the comeback that North American fans and C9 themselves are hoping for in this one? Here's not gonna find that stun. The engage, look at the burst damage!
Hitting. One hit, flash.
I can't chase.
I get him, maybe.
He's dead. More to Can we go there? Can we finish? Nice one.
He flashed in.
Let's fucking go, guys. Sick. Nice.
Here comes the backline access, looking for some flash away. It's 2 for 1, 3 for 1. Kills coming across.
Win. He killed everyone. Holy shit, Cap. Is that a penta?
Oh my
Did you penta kill?
Oh
my Cap!
Quadra kill for Caps. This will be 2-0. And Fnatic are a single game away from the World Finals.
Show IG that you're ready to play a finals.
Sneaky rooted up into a knockup and he just walks into him. He's gonna die to the Ignite. There's no way out. First blood comes through the Hillsong.
I've got that. Also this guy. Nice. Let's push out all waves and catch.
Double stun. We're getting both. Front. Zinzara waiting. I'm fighting Lucian. I beat Lucian. He flashed out. Nice. Yeah, Drake first.
Here's Caps the front line, and the health bar is already shattered. Cloud9 scattered to the winds, trying to get in the back line. But look at that one, as Jensen just barely buys a second. But it's already 3 kills. It's going to be the 4th as well. He's trying to buy the time he can, but there's no way out. Fnatic are the kings of the West, and they will represent in the World Final.